Morning, gang. How we doing? Buckeye pepper. Yeah, I know my hat looks weird. This is my walking/camping hat. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Ground you out. Sure, I needed that. Early morning pipe this morning. And a Stanwell elephant's foot. I haven't smoked this in years, probably. Still fighting that stupid cold a little bit. Some percolated black coffee, which is probably going to be too hot. Just getting there. Just getting there. Anyhow, kind of wanted to do a VR today. David over at St. David's Pipes did a really neat video, I thought. It was called Say What? And it really is terms that have far passed. And he nailed a lot of the ones that came to my mind directly. So I spent some time for a couple of days and really tried to dig up some more that I remember from my childhood. So these may not be old enough for some people, and they may be too old for others, as I'm graciously in my 50s now. Without further ado, let's get started. So it is cold today. It's 40 degrees here. I am in the garage, and I'm wearing my long johns. That's the first word I don't hear a lot of anymore. I'll hear more like thermals or thermal underwear, but long johns, I still maybe use the term, but I don't hear long johns a lot anymore. Another one I used to hear, and I'll hear on occasion, is kerfluffle. And kerfluffle just means a fuss. It's actually a British word. But I had a friend, probably 10 years ago, she used that word a lot. It was one of her words, kerfluffle. And I heard it as a kid, but I haven't heard it in a long time. Another one that is probably more of a formal word, but you don't hear it much anymore in the business world, is henceforth. For business communication, we've kind of changed over to moving forward, going forward as we progress. We don't really say henceforth anymore. You still may see it in some formal documents, maybe, here and there. Jalopy. Jalopy is a word I used to hear as a kid. Obviously just a piece of junk car. And yeah, I had to make a list because I couldn't remember all these, so bear with me. Here's one I don't hear a lot, but I hear some. Percolator. You used to percolate your coffee before you had the coffee pots. This is percolated. I still have a percolator. You can still get them. They're still around, but they're very rare. Well, not very rare, but not many people use them. I still have not been able to reproduce my grandma's percolated coffee for whatever reason. That was the best coffee I've ever had on this planet. And I can't seem to reproduce it. Here's one Mrs. Buckeye had, and it's one that, yeah, we both heard when we were younger, and that's yellow. He called somebody yellow. You're obviously calling him a coward. What are you, yellow? And sometimes it was yellow, not even yellow. I remember these next few from my childhood pretty well. Breeches, go get on your breeches, which are your pants. You might hear that on occasion still, but it's not all that common anymore. And go along with your breeches, you better put on your drawers before you put on your breeches. And those are your under breeches. Mr. Buckeye had another good one, neckerchief. I don't remember the last time. My grandma used to say neckerchief all the time. Go grab me my neckerchief. I don't remember last time I heard that word. Here's one that was more of a saying than a word, and it was dry up. So if you were told to dry up when I was a kid, nice way of saying basically shut up. Quit crying, quit talking, dry up. The next three are houses. And I remember these from being a kid. First one's a brooder house. And a brooder house is just a chicken coop, basically. Down on over the hill, we used to have, they called it the brooder house. There was no chickens in it. It was just locked up. Just a bunch of junk in it. I still remember what that brooder house looked like to this day. Wash house. Now, I think originally in the old days, you did your wash in the wash house. We had a wash house that was out back, freestanding. One would probably almost call it a shed today. But it had power. It had electricity. It had a refrigerator out there. And it was just a storage thing. But it wasn't really a wash house, even though we called it that. That's what I knew it as. Outhouse, keeping with the house themes. They're still around here and there, I believe. But you just don't hear it or see it. I actually used one when I was a kid. We didn't have one, but where we hosted our family reunion at the church in Oakthorpe, Ohio, it had an outhouse, that church did. That's where you went. And when I was at Buckeye Boys State, this would have been summer of 90. Some of the guys from Southern Ohio still talked about having not having indoor plumbing, having outdoor outhouses. Wardrobe. So wardrobe today means your fashion, your clothes. When I grew up, wardrobe was a chest or an upright cabinet, more or less. You hung your clothes in. That was a wardrobe. I grew up in a house that was an older house. It was a summer house for Buckeye Lake in Ohio. It didn't have closets, so we had wardrobes in our bedroom. Girdle. I don't know where this one came from, but I haven't heard the term girdle. I don't even know if they make girdles anymore. Mrs. Buckeye seems to think they do not. I would agree with her. Here's what I remember when I was a real little kid at my grandpa Snyder's, and it was the milk shed. The milk shed. What I remember the milk shed as, not the milking barn, rather it was this little shed where he had the milk container units or whatever that would store the milk until the milkman or the milk person or whoever come and pick it up. But I was little, probably 6, 7, 8, but I remember the milk shed. Here's one that was one of my grandma's favorite. If she was talking about somebody that wasn't grateful, that's ingrate. You may hear it on occasion, but not much. A bunch of ingrates down there. Just means ungrateful. And one that came to me this morning. Hanky. As a kid, go grab a hanky. Now, a hanky was a handkerchief, but for me growing up, if I asked my grandma for a hanky at church, she would give me a tissue. So hanky. I came up with a couple of regional words that I thought would be interesting just to throw in as a one-off. I still say it. It's called sweeper. It's a sweeper. In Ohio, a sweeper is a vacuum cleaner. You run the sweeper, you're running the vacuum cleaner. Still to this day, obviously Mrs. Buckeye knows what it is now for us being married for as long as we have. But, you know, I might ask somebody to bring me a sweeper and they'll bring me a dang on broom. Not the vacuum. Another one regionalized to Ohio and Michigan, where Mrs. Buckeye's from. And we'll say this on occasion, and when we do, it kind of strikes me as odd, and that's pop. So that's kind of a Ohio, Michigan. I think parts of Pennsylvania. Everybody else calls it a soda, and a lot of people just call it a Coke. And then here's the one I think David mentioned, and Mrs. Buckeye and I had talked about, and we hadn't heard it in years. Until we moved back here to North Carolina, and they do say this in North Carolina, and that term is pocketbook. I remember growing up, my grandma or my mom or whoever say, "Hey, would you go grab my pocketbook for me, please?" Now it's a purse. Heck, a lot of girls and women wear backpacks now. They don't even wear purses or use purses. They may have a handbag. Anyhow, getting a little long. David, that was a great idea, man. I really enjoyed your video, your follow-up video. Hopefully some other people may jump in, do VRs. This brings back good memories. Good memories, which is part of, in my opinion, part of, you know, pipe smoking and talking about the good old days. Sitting on the porch. I am in my camper rocker, if you could tell. Sitting on the porch, talking about the good old days. I'm drinking a tea, an iced tea. Sweet tea if you're down south. That's another regional. It's not sweet up north. You order an iced tea up north, it's unsweetened. You ask them for a sweet tea, they don't know what the hell, they bring you sugar. If you ask for a tea down here in the south and you don't want it exceptionally sweet, you better ask for unsweetened tea. Otherwise, you're getting sweet tea. Anyhow, hopefully y'all enjoy your Sunday. I'm going to try to jump on here with a couple more today. Got some books I want to review that I've finished up. But take care of yourselves. Stay healthy in this, as I'm coughing, stay healthy in this cold and flu season. Wash your damn hands, everybody. We'll see you next time. Have a great day. Thanks again for this idea, David. Let's keep it going, guys. Do a VR. Have a great one, everybody.